Yo, this is Abdullah,
This is Yusuf
and welcome to the Bro.
to Bro Podcast.
Yeah, boy.
Okay, hello again. And today's topic is about growing up and away from your family. Did you know, Yusuf, that first year college students found that 94% of them has experienced some form of homesickness?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that because for me, I've kind of experienced that too. Like when I first came here, the first 6 months wasn't really that good. I felt kind of alone and stuff. So when that first break hit, I traveled back home, and when I came back, I felt way better and I felt like refreshed. What about you?
Honestly, it's not just you, but I feel like the people that I interviewed, because I went around and asked a bunch of people questions about growing up and growing away from their family. And from my responses, over the about like 50 people that I interviewed about this question, they all of them have sort of felt that way, that they felt some form of homesickness when they move away from their family or move
Uh-huh.
away from their, you know, relatives or siblings and they're growing up and apart with them. And also, what role do you think the physical distance or this geographical separation from your family has played in your feelings of growing away and growing apart with your family?
Well, I think for the geographical sense, not that much because I feel like our home is so close to us. So like every break we would go to like back home, and you're close by. So like we're kind of family too. So we're not really going away. I think we're going closer. So, but for other people, I feel like it might because a lot of people go away from their home, especially from what I know from my friends. They're like in Asia, like their homes, and they usually live in Europe, some in America. So I think it affects in some sort of way.
I also agree with this answer, as I believe that this physical distance or this geographical separation makes you, as I once mentioned before, being more homesick, which is a mental health issue, mostly, as this could lead to depression and this loneliness. But I believe, the answer could easily be just calling them or talking to your family, on the phone. But I feel like it's not the same, as in it's not the same as them being there with you or them hanging out with you. Yeah, and another topic I wanted to bring up was being the older sibling. So, as being the older siblings, do you feel that you often set the tone for your younger siblings and like being a role model towards your younger siblings, as in like demonstrating your positive behavior or your work ethic or your values that your parents have installed on you that you could install to your younger siblings, perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, I've learned from my older brother, so I feel like I should also do the same towards my younger brother. Because when my younger brother gets to the age where he gets to university, I feel like I'm the one who should teach him about all these things. Because by the time he comes in, my older brother would leave, so I feel like I have to in some sense.
Yeah. And often with me, being the eldest sibling, I feel like I have much more responsibilities, as in I should be leading by example, I should be providing emotional support to my younger siblings, and I should be also assisting on just caregiving with my family and my siblings as well. I believe just this, you know, being the leader or being just a role model towards the my younger siblings. I feel like that's a very heavy weight to carry as being the eldest. And that isn't always about me, but also the people that I interviewed. The most of the people that I interviewed, they usually had a younger sibling. The younger siblings that looked up to them, which I feel like is the majority here, where the younger sibling often looks up to the older sibling, and often they become like their role model. As in, like the older sibling is the role model to the younger sibling, and then it just keeps going under. Do you agree?
Yeah, in a way, because the only person I would look up to was you because you were the first one to make it into university. So I feel like you were the only example I had. Whereas now our younger brother would have two examples. So I feel like I would have to make an example so then he could learn from me and you and try to combine both of the knowledge that we can give him and become the best that he can be.
Another question I feel like doesn't get addressed as much was that being emotionally supportive towards your siblings. Because I understand I wasn't very emotionally supportive of you, and you probably weren't emotionally supportive of our siblings. I feel like that's a cultural thing rather than a siblings thing. As even the people that I interviewed, most of them are come from the same area as we are. They come from the same country as we are. They share the same culture as we are, and they don't really look into the emotional aspects of your siblings and taking care of your siblings' mental health, or listening to them, or providing comfort to them during the challenging times that younger siblings have. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, because the place I went to where I was growing up, like in high school, was different from yours. But then it was the same culture there. Uh, like especially in the men's side, like the brothers, they usually don't really provide an emotional support or anything. I'm not sure about the sisters, but I feel like brother wise, I feel like no one really provides emotional support. Maybe in Europeans or Americans they do, but from our culture, not really. No.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a cultural thing rather than a siblings thing. Although there was like a few outliers of the people that I interviewed that had a sister, and she was, being emotionally there for them. But I feel like it's very rare that usually happens, or maybe it does, and we're just not culturally appropriate about that. Okay, and another interesting research I've found out there on the internet. This came in the early and mid 1900s with Dr. Alfred Adler, who suggested that birth order had an impact on things like personalities, and that for decades researchers have like tried to work to prove and disprove the reality of birth order characteristics, which is kind of interesting, don't you think? Do you believe that birth order had an impact on personality?
No, not really. I don't think so because the personality of me and you aren't really that close. But maybe our younger brother, so maybe the eldest and the youngest would be similar, but I'm not sure about that one.
And did you believe that? Because the research supports that more findings about the firstborn and only child personalities are different than any other positions. I mean that they're unique in their own way, which I believe doesn't really fit the bill because my youngest brother is kind of similar to me, right?
Yeah, but who knows, man? But maybe it's the chronological sense. So like the amount of years between each sibling. Maybe that's the one that affects it. But I'm not sure if it's the birth order in a sense.
Another funny thing I found is that firstborn children often have slightly higher IQs than children's in the other birth order positions.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that in any way. No.
It says the research proves it that it's slightly higher, only about two IQ points higher than the other siblings. I think that seems pretty
See, if you could tell me when the date of this research was,
mid 1900s.
yeah, I can see why it's wrong.
Think it get updated?
It really should be.
Should have disapproved that.
I might right now. I might go write a research right now.
Another funny, interesting research note was that men who are born earlier in their family are more emotionally stable than their younger siblings. Now, what are your thoughts about that?
See, back to the point where the emotional support and all that, I feel like I don't really know because we're not we don't talk about each other's emotions or anything. So I'm not sure if that's correct or anything. So I don't really have any informations on that. But I'm mentally stable, I think. So I'm not sure about our younger brother, but that's all I know.
That's interesting because the people that I interviewed about this, and I asked them, the men that I interviewed that had younger siblings, they would often also not understand this question, not understand this interesting research point. Maybe it's a cultural thing where, the culture of because we were from the Middle East.
Yeah.
We were born in Kuwait. So I feel like it's a cultural thing where, the men there don't really take into mental health and emotional issues that well, or they don't really talk about it. So I believe that this research really is it's a question mark to be studied further. And another talking point I'd like to talk about is the responsibilities that you have as the older child towards your younger siblings. Do you feel you have any special responsibilities to do for your younger child, for your younger sibling?
I think just try to give him as much information as I could, because I grew up around the same parts as he did, and I feel like whatever I can provide to him, I can try as long as he asks. But like we don't, as siblings, like we don't really ask each other, oh, when you grew up, did you do this? Did you do that? We didn't really do that much. But for me, like when I was getting into something, for example, when I was getting into uni, I would ask you like, oh, is this good? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? So maybe try to give him as much information as he needs when he needs, like when he grows up and everything. But yeah.
So essentially, providing guidance in the decision making
Yeah.
aspects
Yep.
of your younger siblings, which I agree with. You pretty much give guidance on important life decisions to your younger siblings. I feel like everyone I interviewed always said that you just provide guidance, pretty much.
Yeah,
Which
when there's a decision, like the older sibling often like gives you everything you really need in the information sense. So yeah.
Exactly. And another question I have for you is that how do you navigate the balance between maintaining your individuality and staying connected to your family?
Well, I try to balance everything out in the way I spend my time. So I talk to my friends more, just a little bit more than my family, because I feel like obviously like friends you share common interests and everything. But each time I have free time, I try to call my parents, since they're not with me. They live in another country, so I try to contact them sometimes. And for I don't really talk about with my younger sibling, but with you I talk to almost every day, so I feel like we're connected in a way. But there really isn't like a way where like you can balance it. I'm not like an organizing type of person. I just do what I feel is right.
I agree in some sort, where in my case, I kind of separate my family and my friends completely, where my family has no connection with my friends and my friends have no connection with my family. That's how I stay. That's how I balance by maintaining my individuality, where I pretty much put my friends, have a personality with my friends, and act towards a certain way towards my friends and differently with my family. But I do stay connected to my family more often than my friends, I believe. But it just depends. I do agree with you, as in there is no really set in stone way to navigate this balance of maintaining your individuality and staying connected to your family at the same time. Unless I think the people that I interviewed, most of them also do the same, where they pretty much have their own mask, I would say, for their friends and their own masks, I would say, for their family. And they try to just maintain that balance by, going back and forth pretty much and trying to stay connected, as I would say, on all sides of the story. Okay, and closing it out here, I believe all these individual experiences about growing up and going away from your family and going to university or going to a different place from your family, I believe these experiences are all different in a sense, and they're all unique in a sense, but they're also some way they're sort of similar, where they have some connecting themes where everyone can relate to, but at the end of the day, it's everyone's individual experiences that we are sharing. As in, the people that I interviewed all had their own path of going to university or growing away from their family, but they all connected in a way, as in they all provided the same points. If you guys understand what I meant.
Yeah, I think they all shared like similar cultures, so I feel like the answer would be swayed a bit in a way.
Okay, and at the end here, what I'm really trying to say about this topic, about growing away and growing up away from your family is that at the end of the day, you kind of just have to stay in touch, I believe. I feel like staying in touch helps a lot with homesickness. It helps a lot with staying in touch with your family. It helps a lot with maintaining your family and keeping them close. Like, it's not really hard to call your mom or dad once a day, at the very least, to just check up on them. Call your brother or sister once a day to check up on them. I feel just this one phone call can help so much towards your mental health, because just hearing their voice can enough to either make up your day and to help you out. And although there are different viewpoints through a cultural perspective, the common responsibilities are still the same, where you're leading by example, you're providing emotional support, you're setting a positive example, you're providing guidance towards your younger siblings, and just being a role model in general. I feel like that is the main thing you can do while even as you grow apart from your family and growing away from your family.
And that's all the time we have left today.
Tune in next time for the Bro to Bro podcast.